It's great to see you all. Thank you so much for your attendance today. It's very much appreciated. So welcome to this second community of practice. As last time, our continuing aim is to encourage and support our international community of assessors with collaboration, networking, information and best practice sharing. And I hope through these sessions and through the newsletter that we have been able to achieve some of this during 2024. Participating at this event, as I said, is your ongoing commitment, and I appreciate that you give your time as volunteers. Also with this session, it's your opportunity to share with your fellow assessors, perhaps add them to your network if they're not already there. Something we encourage as consultants is our network. There will be some information sharing today, but it's mainly focused on participation from assessors and opportunities to ask questions and share findings on a case study. So, and also following feedback from some of our lead assessors, you'll also be invited, if you would like to provide any additional feedback you have on assessments you've participated on in this year, both positive and challenging. And for 2025 to think about, apologies for bringing this up, but ensuring continuous improvement process, and that's documented as per ISO 17011. If you can't find it, let me know and I can update you, but you should all have access to the G Drive by now. I'm not going to talk about the G Drive today. I think we've done enough on that, but any questions as ever, please feel free to get in touch. I hope you received and appreciated the second newsletter, which was sent out recently. It's a regular communication, keeps you informed of progress and challenges. And again, let me know if there are any topics you'd like to see covered. Our 2024 assessment program continues, so please continue to submit your plans. The active tracking of progress will become more formalized in 2025, so we're currently looking at that. We've got a lot to do in 2025, and I'll share some details of that with you. Also, a lot of that was covered in the newsletter. We're planning on training to take place in February, and the 2025 assessment program will then commence. I appreciate we didn't start till late this year, but by starting as early as possible, hopefully we'll get them all completed by the end of the year. Again, appreciating there are challenges which we recognise from time to time. If you've got any questions, please record these in the chat box. Do take advantage of Nick being here. He is going to continue as our IQA liaison, which is great. So welcome to all of you. Just to have a look then at the agenda for today. We'll do some introductions, then we'll hand over to Nick. And congratulations to Nick on his new role, formally addressing that to you. He's going to give us an update from the annual conference and also to focus on his two key objectives. So the second objective we will look at later in terms of a case study around building relationships. And you should have seen that in the agenda, which I sent out a while ago. We're also going to look at some lead assessor experiences on assessments, both positive and challenging. And we might ask how we can address some of those challenges. There'll be a list of development opportunities that we have as part of our strategy for 2025 for IQA. And as ever, the chat box, questions and comments, but please feel free to populate that as we go through. So perhaps we'll start then with some introductions. So your name, institute, years as an assessor, CMC expertise just this year, because in the past we've focused on all expertise, but any specific expertise from this year. You don't have to answer, but if you receive the newsletter, that would be great for a bit of feedback on how to make that better for the future. So let me just go back to seeing you. So in the order in which I can see you, just a couple of minutes, please, per person, because then we will move on to Nick. So Brendan, let's start with you, please.
Certainly. Thank you, Sue. Again, appreciate this opportunity. So Brendan Williams, based in Australia, so IMC Australia. I've just last week finished on the board in Australia after being on the board for 12 years. And I've also stepped off our state chapter committee to focus on some other things. So that's a big step. Years as an assessor, well, I've just started. I'm currently a co-assessor, having just started this year formally, but my assessor audit experience is just coming up to 30 years. And CMC experience, it's been quite a year of variety for me. Anything from auditing major public works infrastructure on behalf of government, all the way through to supervising the making of reinforced concrete panels for a new iconic building in Sydney CBD. And yes, I did get the newsletter and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Namrod, welcome to you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Namrod Gonyora from IMC Zimbabwe. I'm a founder member of IMC in Zimbabwe, which initially was an association, and then we converted that to an institute in 2013, and we registered with ICMCI is, from 2018, and I've been the CMC assessor at the local level from 2014, when we were doing this jointly with South Africa. But I no longer do any local CMC assessment, but I'm more of the evaluator, just to make sure that the assessments are being done properly. Professionally, I'm an auditor. But I do a lot of work in areas of enterprise risk management, governance, also do training for auditors, those that are in practice. And we also do a lot of strategy as a firm. And I've been in that business since 2011, after working for a FTSE 100 organization in the UK, and where I was responsible for the rest of Africa, operations. That has given me a wide experience in terms of professional development, both from an assessor point of view, from an auditor point of view. And I'm also an ICT person. Used to be an ICT executive for one of the local companies. So that wide experience has helped, I think, in terms of being able to go into a number of areas. And as far as from an IMC point of view, I was also once on the Professional Standards Committee of ICMCI, which led to the revision of the standards, culminating with the new standards that we've got now. And I've been a lead assessor since 2018. Sorry, I've been assessor since 2018. 2021, I was a lead assessor, and I've done a number of assessments. New Zealand, Russia, Mongolia, Poland, Romania, Nigeria, and we are currently finishing off Armenia, which is at the draft report stage, and we are at the reporting stage with regards, the other assessment we've got. I joined IQA. This is my second month, replacing the late Mr. Mazikana, who passed on end of July. So I'm very happy, to be on this, to be able to share what happens from the Africa Hub perspective.
Thank you, Namrod.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move on to Ilse. Ilse, because I know you need to leave.
I try to, yeah. I hope you can see me. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. My name is Ilse. I have been with ICMCI for quite a long time, and I'm very happy about this. I have been an assessor also for many, many years, and had the opportunity to assess many institutes from all over the world. And I'm very happy that I got the certificate of being an ongoing lead assessor from IQA. And yeah, I'm very happy to contribute further on to the ICMCI assessments.
Thanks, Ilse. Yes, I think we liked the certificate, so thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you very much. So I appreciate it.
Good. I hope it's framed and on the wall.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Excellent. Well
and
done.
together with the ICMCI Academic Fellow certificate.
Oh, yes, brilliant.
Both of them in different colors.
Thanks. Rima, I'd like to move on to you as well. We mustn't miss you out.
Hello, everyone. I don't know, I'm Rima Nasser. I think I've worked with all of you through all the years, and I think everyone knows me, but I've been with ICMCI since 2013. So my institute is ICMCI. It's your council. I haven't been an assessor, but I've been supporting, along with Khuzaima, the IQA's work since then. And yes, I received the newsletter. So, hi, everyone.
Thank you. PK.
Okay, I'm PK Lim from IMC Singapore. I have been the assessors for more than 10 years. Currently, I'm a lead assessor. My consultancy expertise or experience are mainly on the productivity and the process value management. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, Kalina.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sue. My name is Galina. I'm from IMC Kazakhstan. I've been CMC for 15 years, and my experience as an assessor now is 9 years. So, and I also have a long list of countries where I've been in the assessment team, both as a co-assessor and lead assessor. My CMC expertise this year actually the same as it was before. As in my IMC in Kazakhstan, IMC Kazakhstan, I'm a chair of certification committee responsible for CMC certification process, and ISO 17024 standard compliance. As a consultant, I'm specialized in environmental health and safety issues, and during the last 15 years, I more concentrate on sustainable development and national SD targets in Kazakhstan, working a lot with the government and business in Kazakhstan. And yes, thank you, Sue. I always receive your newsletters.
Well done. Gold star for you. Thank you for that. Ferretting, I hope that's the correct pronunciation of your name. So welcome. I know you're rejoining us, and that's great to see you. So it would be great for you to give us your introduction.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I am sorry because my camera is broken. Hi,
We can see
everyone.
you.
Thank you for this opportunity to join you in this session today. My name is Ilir Hasan Jekay, and I am from Pristina, the capital city of Kosovo. I have had the privilege of serving on the board of directors for the BCC, Business Consultants Council, over the past 2 years, and I am very proud that we have achieved to keep our institution alive and with the most important being and to maintain a strong and stable organizations in Kosovo. This is my first year as a co-assessor, and I am very thrilled to contribute in this role. I look forward to learning from the senior assessors and bringing as much value as I can to this process. As a certified management consultant, I have been certified 10 years ago. I have been part of the first group in my country that we have been certified with the CMC. Thank you again, and I am excited to collaborate with all of you.
Sorry, that was Ilya speaking there. So
yes.
Welcome. He's one of our new assessors, joined us recently. So we had some quite extensive onboarding training, and he's been shadowing one of our assessments to complete his training. So welcome to you, Ilya.
Thank you.
Sorry, Shinyat, I know your time is constrained this morning, so let's come to you next.
Yep. I'm Shin Liat, based in Singapore. I started as an assessor around about the 2004-05 under the good supervision of Peter Sorensen. So I've assessed Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Korea, Thailand, and 2 or 3 others in Europe. But the last so many years, I have, in a way, taking a break until recently when Nick and Sue I met and also updated my knowledge about ICMCI and also the latest IQA. So I'm currently planning to assess China and also China with Philip Key as my co-assessor, and Thailand, Brandon as my co-assessor. Well, coincidentally, because I will be also traveling to China, so I have quickly touched base with Man Yi. So I'll be in Beijing coming Sunday and Tuesdays. So I scheduled to have physical assessment on the ground, 25th Monday. Professionally, I'm still a consultant, specialized in healthcare and also helping quite a number of China-based hospitals to improve their management, especially in the patient service arena. That's all for now, Sue.
Thank you so much. Yes, we brought Shinyat back into the fold, so great to see him back. Thank you. Ferretin from Turkey, can I again, you've just come back and rejoined us, so that's great. So perhaps some introduction from yourself.
Yes, hello for everybody. I'm a Turkish Management Consultants Association Committee Alpha CMCs and expertise. And from years of 2008, I've been doing the assessment in different countries. And lately, I left the assessment on in Israel, and it was not successful. But I had many successful assessments in many countries at Italy, England, and many others. I cannot remember the names lately. And I have made standards of management consultants in Turkey. In Turkey, we have Vocational Quality Authority of Turkey. So at this stage, I have made quality standards of the Turkish CMC account CMCs, and that's how that's all I can say for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Philip Key, I have you on the screen here.
Hello, good evening or good morning to everybody. Yes, I'm Philip Key here, based in Singapore. I have my two best colleagues here, Liu Senjian as well as PK. We have been together with the Institute, Singapore Institute for many, many years. I joined the Institute in 1994, so this year exactly 40 years. And I have been appointed as ICMCI auditor about 2 years ago. This year, I'm the lead auditor for auditing Japan, IMC Japan, as well as IMC New Zealand. I also participated in the audit for China and so on. Right. So my CMC expertise in the ISO standard. I started the ISO 9000 consultancy as well, auditing standard on the standard, as well as for the last 15 years, I specializing on the business continuity management system. There's an ISO 22301 standard. So that basically for me. And thank you for the time. And thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. I think I've got everybody. Kazema, did you want to say anything? We all know you, and obviously you offer us tremendous support, so I don't want to leave you out.
No, thank you so much. I guess Rima said it all. I'm glad I'm joining your meetings and the session you are conducting. So I'm here if you need any support. Again, I'm Khuzaima. You can notice our emails from different communication with the IMCs and the committees. So we're glad we're here to support you all.
Great, thank you so much. And as ever, we always appreciate your support, so thank you. For myself, I guess I'd better say a few words as well. I'm from the UK Institute of Consulting. I've been a CMC since the year 2000, which is a long time ago. I have 20 plus years experience as a management consultant, many years with one of the big firms in the UK. I also work a lot with my own institute on the advisory committee and also on the task force. So that's a little bit about me. As far as ICMCI, I've been an assessor since the class of 2020, when a lot of us joined at that time together. I'm Vice Chair of IQA and also the newly formed Assessors Operational Management function, which is specifically looking at all of our assessors, providing them with support and knowledge. So that's ongoing. So that's a little bit about me. I don't think I've missed anybody, but please shout if I have. So I'd like to hand over to Nick. We need to take advantage of his time today, so please feel free to populate the chat box if you've got any questions for Nick. So I'll stop sharing, Nick, and I'll hand over to yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Sue, and thank you.
And also, if you want to do your introduction as well, last but not least.
Yep, certainly. Okay, so hello everybody, and thank you for allowing me to be with you today. Yeah, I'm a fellow of the UK Institute of Consulting. I've been a consultant now for 34 years. I've seen a lot of changes in the profession over that time. I'm also a chartered engineer, and I've actually found my engineering experience, although it was many years ago, have been very useful to me in my consultancy work as well, because engineering actually instills a real sense of logical approach and analytical approaches to situations, which I found very useful over the years. I've been a member of the board of ICMCI. I can't remember for how long actually, but a few years. And for my sins now have been made chair. So you've got to put up with me for the next 3 years. But I'm hoping that we're going to achieve a lot of things over those 3 years. We have made some tremendous strides forward under Robert's leadership in the last 3 years. And now it's time to sort of bring some of the things that have been done to fruition and gain the rewards from them. So, okay, without further ado, I will attempt to beat the technology and share my screen and show you what I would like to see. And I think this is it. Share, and hopefully if I do this, you should see full screen.
Just click display settings, Nick, and at the top in the middle.
Yeah.
Click that and then
Yeah,
swap.
okay, that's better.
it.
Thank you very much.
Good on you. Thanks, mate. We can see it now.
And I'm just so good at technology.
No, we're here to help each other. It's beyond us all.
Yeah, Brendan, thank you. That is an excellent segue into what I'm just about to say. With your forgiveness, I'm actually going to start with a little bit of philosophy. And that reflects some of the literature I've been reading recently, which has brought home to me the astounding similarities between the needs and wants of living organisms in nature with those organisms made by humankind. And I see ICMCI as a living organism. And it's made up of different parts doing different things, but all combining together to form one whole, which should thrive and prosper. And in order to do that, any organism needs a stability of structure within it, combined with a fluidity of change. To put that in less philosophical language, something we can understand, we need to be sustainable and agile. And I want to express that in my two main goals for my 3 years in office. One is to build and maintain our ICMCI as a family so that all members can thrive and prosper. That gives us our stability of internal structure. And secondly, to build external relationships so that we can increase the recognition of ICMCI as the advocacy voice of the profession, and so that our standards of competence, of ethical behavior, of robust process become more universally adopted than they are at the moment. And that, in a way, should provide those who buy consultancy services to look more and more to our CMCs, the members of our family, to be their preferred suppliers. Now, the thing is, there are many changes going on in the world today which affect consultants, individual consultants, on the way they practice. There are also changes on the horizon that will very much affect ICMCI and our member institutes. And this is why we need to be in constant contact and relationship within our ecosystem, within all the stakeholders of the profession, in order that we can maintain our agility to adjust to the changes and continue to thrive. So the details of these two goals are expressed in our 2030 aspirations, which were very comprehensively published during our recent annual meeting, but I'm going to repeat them here, not to be too boring. And I've split them into those aspirations which reflect each of those two goals I've got. Our internal aspirations for sustainable and stable growth, achieving a joined up community with a culture of belonging and commitment. And that's, Brendan, comes back to your very useful help. We are here to work for each other. We all have something to offer each other in terms of best practice, in terms of experience. And if we work together to become a family community where we all feel that we belong and we all have a commitment to the future of ICMCI, we will build a very strong and sustainable body of ICMCI. Every living organism needs to be fed with something in order to survive. In the case of nature, it's energy from the sun and from the soil and from the water and so on. We have one source of food in ICMCI, and that's, whether we like it or not, is money. And so one of our main objectives for the future is to build sustainable, robust revenue streams. That means growing membership and growing things that we can provide to bring revenue. But also we need to have a look at a donor-related strategy to bring money in from those bodies who we feel could support us in the work we do, and support us in a financial sense. We have developed our Services Inc. I'll talk a bit more about that later on in detail, but we need to have our new commercial arm, Services Inc., registered in the States, in Delaware. We need to have it operating and contributing a significant level of finance to ICMCI through work which is funded and paid for through Services Inc. With our new ICMCI Academy, we need to be providing value-adding capacity building within the profession, specifically for our members. And that is something else I'll talk about in a little bit of detail later on. We need to enhance the visibility of our CMC award to make it more recognized around the world, not just among consultants. In fact, definitely not just among consultants, but among the people who buy consultancy around the world. Everything is driven by market forces, and we need the market forces of consultancy buyers to be persuaded and perceive CMC as the value-adding component of consultancy services to them. And we need to be available much more widely around the world, not just with member IMCs, but having a presence of some sort in as many countries around the world as we can, so that our name becomes well known. Okay, moving to our external aspirations and my second goal. This is about building relationships with all of the stakeholders in the profession. specifically with those organizations within what we call the consulting industry, the big six, the big seven, the big four, whatever you call them. We need to build some bridges with them in order to enhance the reputation of the profession as a whole. And I would like us to be a leader in that movement to improving the international reputation of our profession. We need to be recognized by more and more major industries, major organizations and governments around the world as the voice of the profession. We need to put ourselves in the vanguard of our consulting ecosystem and be the voice of advocacy. There are things going on in some parts of the world where I believe we can take a lead in showing how consultancy should be managed and governed properly, and we need to take every advantage we can in that area. We need to make sure that our standards, our methodologies for providing consultancy, specifically to do with sustainability and social responsibility in the world today, allied to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We need to show how we can be also leaders in that area of sustainability. Very specifically for the audience today, we need to expand the work of IQA to accredit other certification bodies, not just within our membership, but also outside as well, as we develop new certification schemes in partnership with other organizations around the world. And as part of this, obviously, we want to progress IQA to be not just an independent body as it is now, but also an internationally recognized body through membership of the International Accreditation Forum. And in fact, ultimately, I would like to see us beginning to make some moves towards providing some form of self-regulation within our profession. And as I've alluded to before, there are things beginning to happen whereby governments and other governing bodies are beginning to see the need for the same sort of governance, the same sort of regulation that we see in some other professions around the world. And I hope that ICMCI will be able to play a major part in any move in that direction. So having said that, what's going on already to make some of those things happen? Now, we declared in our annual meeting last year or earlier this year some of the things that we're working on. The formation of ICMCI Services, Inc., a commercial arm based in Delaware in the States. And Services, Inc. will be the commercial body through which ICMCI and ICMCI members can sell services of any type concerned with the profession. Still very much under development and detailed business plans being drawn up, including revenue and cost plans. So watch this space for more information on the development of Services, Inc. But this is something that we believe will offer our member institutes an opportunity for revenue income, as well as providing income for ICMCI. Our ICMCI Global Academy, set up as a global capacity building body, predominantly for the consultants within our member institutes. This is an organization or a body that member institutes can take advantage of by accessing absolutely top level training, capacity building modules. Obviously, we have some things already underway that we provide capacity and training in. Notably ISO 20700 and the use of our ICMCI checklist for application of the standard, but many other modules will be added. And the Global Academy is not a competitor to member institutes and the training which they may commission locally. It is an additional service which member institutes can take advantage of and make revenue from through acting as intermediaries of the high-level training that can be provided by the Global Academy. Again, business plans are being finalised at the moment, so watch this space for more information coming through. One of the major achievements we've made in our outreach in our ecosystem was the establishment of a collaborative partnership with UNIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, for the capacity building and certification of the consultants they use in their projects around the world. We have started a pilot project in Ghana in the agribusiness sector, which will be extended to other business sectors in Ghana and hopefully to other countries of UNIDO operation in Africa as well. The program comprises the building of capacity of a number of consultants, of UNIDO engaged consultants, using our competence framework as the basis for the capacity building and our code of conduct as the ethical basis of the work, and ISO 20000 as the process methodology for consultancy projects. So we are doing capacity building. We are developing a certification scheme specifically for UNIDO in partnership with UNIDO, which is based on our CMC certification scheme, but adapted for the UNIDO situation. And then we are going to take the trained consultants through the certification process, through application, assessment, and certification within the new certification scheme. And at some point, we look forward to being able to move on also to establish, whether it's a member institute or not, a certification body which IQA will be able to accredit as a certification body. So that's a start of a very big program of collaboration with UNIDO. At the conference earlier this year, we met subsequently with one of the presenters from the International Trade Center, which is also a United Nations entity. And we have agreed with them to work in the area together on sustainability, the implementation of the UN SDGs. So that is at a very early stage, but again, watch this space for development in our partnership with ITC. We are renewing our relationship with EBRD, which was very strong before COVID happened, in terms of training EBRD consultants in the ISO 20000 checklist. we're looking forward to beginning to work with them again in the not too distant future, not just with ISO 20700, but in other elements of capacity building as well. We are beginning to take steps to fulfill completely IQA's independence as an accreditation body and move to full IAF membership. We are encountering roadblocks along the way, but one by one, we're knocking them on the head and moving forward. The path to IAF membership is to be able to join, first of all, a regional accreditation body. And there are several of those around the world, basically sort of continent-based. There's an Asia-Pacific, there's a European, there's an Americas, and so on, and a Middle East. We are unfortunately not able to join the European regional body due to the EU rules about accreditation bodies, so we're investigating alternative routes. Once having joined a regional body, we can undergo a peer assessment from them and then sign an MLA with IAF and eventually become a full member. So we are moving towards that goal, which will bring IQA the full recognition that it deserves as an accreditation body. However, there is much more to be done. And this brings me back to the agenda of today and your case study, which poses the question about how do we achieve that second goal that I expressed earlier on. How do we go about building these external relationships to increase the recognition of ICMCI, to enable us to become fully recognized as the advocacy voice of the profession, and to have more universally accepted our standards of competence, ethical behavior, and robust process. So I leave you with that challenge, and I'm ready to answer any questions that you may have.
There are questions in the chat, Nick, if you may take note of those.
Yeah, let me have a look. How many CMCs and types of expertise are involved in the UNIDO Ghana project? Okay. We have actually quite a small team involved. There are 3 actual CMCs, Chalal Seshkin, the chair of PDSC, myself, as previous chair of PDSC and part of IQA, and Marina Pogosyan from Armenia, who has worked extensively with EBRD in this sort of capacity building, and we saw her as a useful member of our team. It is a limited team at the moment because of the experience we've got, but we expect more people to be involved in the future of this project. This is just a pilot we're in now, and there will be more taking part later on. How do we as IQA and AOM get involved in the development of the UNIDO offering? Well, like I've said, there will be scope in the future projects that we undertake in partnership with UNIDO for further work in capacity building and in assessment. And we hope eventually, because this is the eventual aim, that there will be accreditation work to be done as well, as more and more certification bodies will be formed. Certification bodies which may be member institutes and may not. They may be external certification bodies which we will also be able to accredit. And we would hope, obviously, that some of them, if not all of them, would go on to want to have ISO 17024 accreditation as well. So I think you will find maybe not next month, maybe not even next year, but eventually there will be more and more participation, generally from ICMCI members. Okay, Brendan, yes, thank you very much for that note. And since there's been a member of APAC, I have to say that I have also been in touch with APAC and have investigated with them membership. Unfortunately, that isn't possible, not right now anyway, because we don't have an entity registered within the IPAC region. And this is one of the ways of overcoming the roadblock, which I don't want to go into too much detail of, but it does appear that in some way we may have to register IQA as an entity somewhere outside Europe in order to make full progress. But that's not an absolute certainty at the moment, but it is a possibility. And we may be talking to APAC again, who knows? But,
come on down under, Nick.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Another question: how do we as IQA and AOM get involved with discussions on sustainability? Okay. Well, you must remember, of course, that we have built sustainability quite significantly into our code of conduct, our revised code of conduct. And therefore, part of an assessment which an IQA assessor would do on a member institute ought to be to investigate how that institute is actually applying that code of conduct. Yes, we do have the principle of equivalence, which means that it may not be word for word what the ICMCI pattern of code of conduct is, but it should be equivalent and therefore should contain significant elements of sustainability within the code of conduct. It's also built into our competence framework as well, that consultants should be aware of sustainable elements in the advice they give to clients. So I think it is part of the responsibility of IQA assessors to build assessment of the approaches to sustainability when they do an IMC assessment.
It is something we're aware of, Nick, and something that we do, but we're just conscious that we need to, with all the initiatives coming from the board on sustainability, we're just conscious that we need to focus more on those, appreciating the challenges that may include. So it's just, if there are talks going on around sustainability at a higher level, it would just be useful to get feedback on that so we can promote that message, if you like, when we're doing our assessments.
Yeah, certainly. We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Of course, this year's conference theme is all about sustainability. So there will be a lot of things happening, including the white paper that's going to be published very soon. Well, not that soon, but soon enough to make an impact. So yeah, we'll make sure that you are fully informed. I guess that sustainability will be one of the main modules that will be used by the Global Academy in the capacity building for the future as well. So there'll be a lot going on there.
Okay, we're going to do our refresher training in February, so it's one of the elements that it would be. We've done a case study on it before, but it would be quite nice to include that as, and perhaps as a guest we can get along to talk about it. I know we're looking at roles and responsibilities, so we will be assigning folk to concentrate on that. So thank you.
I'm sure our Chief Executive and Secretariat have made a note. we'll make sure we follow up. Brendan, you have a question?
Yeah, look, just quickly, the word sustainability is interpreted in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
I of course understand there's an environmental component that we need to be conscious of, but I feel at the moment we need to focus our attention on sustainability of the profession and our IMCs. There is some struggle, particularly post-COVID. So I just take your view then, Nick, on your interpretation of our focus on sustainability and how broad that might be.
Yeah. Well, like I said in my first goal, the building of our family community is very important. We need internal stability. We recognise the struggles going on in pretty well all of our member institutes around the world. It is something that is not unique to our profession and our member institutes either. It may be that we need to look at different models of how these things are done. The younger generation, not just the younger generation of consultants, but the younger generation coming through in general, do things totally different to the way that we have done things in the past. It is not very much favoured by the younger generation to be institutionalized. Young people are not in the habit of being, if I may say so, forced to take responsibility. It needs to be done in a different way. So it could be that we need to start looking at different business models. It could be that we need to do more in a focused fashion, not necessarily centrally, but centralized in hubs and centralized in communities that are more meaningful to the members, being of the same culture and in the same geographical area and so on. But it's a very complex situation for which to find a solution, Brendan. I'm sort of striving to describe some of the ways I think it could happen, but it all actually comes down to my second goal as well, which is all about the agility and the fluidity of change. We are going to have to be prepared to make some significant changes in order to survive and thrive. And some of those are to do with structural changes. Some of them are to do with the necessity to find a lot more money than we have at the moment in order to make things happen. And some of them will have to do with building relationships and possibly some very close partnerships and alliance relationships with stakeholders in our ecosystem. We have to be open to anything which, in ethical terms and in professional terms, actually helps us to rebuild our strength. But it is going to involve tremendous change.
Yeah, I most appreciate your some of your opening remarks about focusing on building our community together. I think that's incredibly important, and I'll just I'm currently a member of 20 plus professional associations, and I lead 75% of them. And the key term is relevance and value. And that is something we've got to reframe, I think, relevance and value. And professionals get value not just from dollars, but from contributing and leading. And I think, you made a comment that we need, our food is money. I actually disagree. Our food is money and being valued.
I agree. I mean, we are a volunteer-based organisation at the moment, and therefore the contribution of members within our body is worth more than money. I do agree on that, absolutely. But in order for us to become the body that we need to be with the right recognition, we need to be able to demonstrate more substantiality than we have at the moment, more substance.
Yeah, of course, appreciate that.
Recognised. And unfortunately, in the world, that requires money, but that doesn't serve to downgrade the invaluable input of the people within our organisation. So yeah, I agree. I still see money as a big aim, but it is our volunteers who do things at the moment and have to continue. But what I don't want is that we have volunteers who get burnt out by bearing too much of a burden. And I think one of the secrets that we might learn around the world is how we encourage more people to volunteer and get involved and do even more, because in most organizations, it's the few who serve the many. And at the moment, I do believe it's a bit the same in ICMCI. It's a few who serve the many. We need to make the fewer a bit bigger by encouraging more of the many to get involved. Because there's a lot to be done, and we will need more people to do it.
So we have 5 new assessors joined us recently, so that's great.
Yeah.
So we can continue with that. I also really like your objective of a family, and it's definitely something we've been striving for with AOM to build that feeling. So that does feed into what is coming down from the board in terms of the overall message. So thank you for that, Nick. Thank you.
Yeah, we have to recognise that when we talk about family, it's not all cozy, not all cozy stuff.
No.
Either. You know, families have disagreements. Family members disagree with each other and slam the door and stamp up the stairs. We have to be prepared to deal with that, and that's another element that I would like to encourage amongst us as well is one of forbearance and understanding and empathy for our members and their member consultants around the world, all of whom are struggling in different ways. And the more we understand each other, the more we talk to each other, the more we meaningfully communicate with each other, the more chance we have of making progress together as a family. Whether we argue and eventually find a way through is irrelevant. We just need to work together to make the whole of our organisation more stable, more sustainable, and more recognised in the world.
I think also collaboration and communication across all of the committees and the board, I think that that will work well also. So yeah. There was another comment in chat as well from Brendan.
Yeah, I agree, Brendan. I think that's quite a good idea, because that actually gives a more sense of worth to the work that people do. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen what happens in professional bodies in Australia that now have a staff base of over 400 people.
Yeah.
Right, paid staff of 400 people. Can you believe? They treat the members as volunteers that serve their needs, rather than the members leading and managing and the staff supporting them. I mean, Rima and Kazima do a fantastic job of supporting us in the direction we need, but we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've made my point, and
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions for Nick?
Yeah, I think Fakhruddin has got his hand up.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. We have an accreditation committee in Turkey, and this Vocational Qualifications Authority of Turkey is accredited by European-based qualifications. And this is a state-owned qualifications group. And also, there is also a qualifications framework also other than that. We have, as a consulting association, have set the standards of the management consultants of this vocational regulations. So at 2018, we have finished the standardization of management consultants as a profession. Afterwards, after this, we have also, as a Turkish association, made a company which will accredit the professions of administration, consultants, and the similars experts. And this company, which we have established as our association, has been accredited by vocational administration. Nowadays, we will start accrediting the consultants, management consultants, managers, and the other management administration professions, experts. We will be able to accredit them as their professions. And we have also made, together with that, webinars and Academy of Consultants. So at this academy, we give trainings of consultancy and standards of the consultancy and management of all phases of management. So we are doing this since 3 years. So it became real accepted by the community, and our organization's visibility in Turkey has increased by this. Now we are called to government's strategical programs to make the contribution as management consultancy. It's good news for our experiences and development. I just wanted to inform you because of your explanations about these points. YDD, I mean, Turkish Management Consultants Association has done a lot of things on this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Fakhruddin. We're obviously aware of the work that's going on in Turkey, and certainly we should be following developments to see whether there are models to be followed there as well. So thank you for letting us know about that.
You're welcome.
Okay, unless there are any more questions for Nick. Okay, what I suggest we do, let me just go back to sharing my screen.
May I ask one question? Sorry, Sue.
Okay, no, carry on.
Yeah, Nick. Yes, coming back to the experience of IMC in Turkey. When I was online at the annual meeting, there was a presentation from IMC Turkey about their certification scheme.
Yeah.
But there was no sound online. So, but we understood that it was very, very interesting and useful. Is it possible to share this presentation with IMCs, or just only to ask, for example, Rima, ask just to send us? Thank you.
Helena, we are currently preparing all the outcomes of the annual meeting. All the presentations that were included in the 1.5-day event will be sent to all the IMCs and to all the delegates. But we are now at the moment of finalizing the MOM with the co-signees from the audience. Once that happens, everything, all the outcomes email will be sent to all the IMCs. So just bear with us until the MOM is co-signed, okay? You'll get it.
Thank you.
With your permission, I'm going to bow out now, but
Okay.
if you need me back at any point, just send me a message and I'll.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Nick. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Nick, and congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me just move on. So based upon what Nick has shared with us, I'd like to use that as a basis for our case study. He's been through the objective with you, but I'd like you to consider the following, and perhaps within your own IMC, and give your feedback. So I'll give you some time to do this, but the main questions are, who should we target to build relationships with to meet this objective? How can we build these relationships? What would be the approach? And by taking 1 and 2 forward, how can we further use this thinking to increase CMC membership and accreditation? And we know through assessments that many IMCs have shared this objective to increase membership because they have found it declining over time. So I suggest we take a break of, say, about 10 minutes to give you time to have a break and also to have a look through this, and then to give me your feedback if you have any. That would be great. So I'll leave this with you. What's the time now? If we get back together at, say, I won't say what time, but past. So that's just under 15 minutes. So I shall leave that with you. Again, any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat box if you need any clarifications. So I'll leave that with you, and we'll get back together at 1:30. Thank you.
May I say goodbye, and I will
okay, Ilse.
put the records, and I'm very much looking forward to working with you and IQA also
Perfect.
in the future. And thank you very much.
And
Thanks,
Ilse, before you go,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to attend the ISO TC 342 meeting over the next 3 days. It's in the middle of the night for me, and I've got too much else on. So all the best with that.
I keep you informed, and for this
Thank
year
you.
it's even difficult for the Austrians because we have on Thursday we have the Consultants Day in Austria. I don't know if Nick and Rima are attending this conference. Very often we have representation from ICMCI, but now we have 3 days and Consultants Day, but I keep you updated. I can only attend tomorrow. So thank you very much also for your commitment. And this is something which I would add to these questions as well.
Yes.
In ISO TC 342 and to engage with our clients. This is my, but maybe you can bring it in after the break.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ilse.
Thank you, Ilse. And for the record, it's Robert and Dwight who will be attending.
Pardon? Dwight.
Robert and Dwight are the ones who will be attending.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. We always have good representatives from ICMCI. So
correct.
Good, super. Thank you very
Good
much.
luck in your
See you
meeting.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Ilse. Okay, folks, I'll leave this with you and we'll reconvene at past. PK, I've got you first.
Okay.
So carry on.
All right. The three questions, right? Who should we target and build relationship? I think some of them already mentioned by Nick. Basically, is that build relationship with the consulting firms, big organization, and also the government buyers. And then as what Nick mentioned, that partner with the global bodies like the UNIDO or the World Bank. I think the other thing is that, we could work with the university to offer or teach our CMC standards. Then engage the industry, the thought leaders and influencers giving talks in our ICMCI Congress and all the hubs meeting. All right, invite them. Then the next question, how to build a relationship. I think we need to start conversation with all those above the stakeholders and explain how they being benefited from our CMC standards and the ethical standard and so on. And then the other point is that they share the testimonials, success stories, and research from our academic fellows showing the value of the CMC consultants. And we could use the online platform like LinkedIn to share useful contents and updates. And all these points I just mentioned, okay, I really required a lot of helps and effort from the ICMCI board, especially the marketing teams. Okay, now I think we have somebody heading the marketing, probably could help us to spread around all this thing and actually to do all those legwork for us. The third point is that how to increase the membership and the accreditations. I think this involve a lot, also the local IMC, the national group to really promote the CMC certification. They've been trying hard, but so far they encounter a lot of problems. And then get the companies and government to prefer or require CMC certified consultants. And also work with university and local IMC and to prepare the non-CMC and students for accreditations. Okay, that's what I have.
Thanks, PK. I mean, the fact that we still have Nick as our IQA liaison, I think we just need to keep asking these questions. And collaboration, I think, is one of the key words for me. So you know me well enough now. I shall keep on, and hopefully we'll continue to build on that. But thank you for that. Also, I think as you all go through these elements, I hope it helps to promote some of your own thoughts for your own IMCs. So thank you, PK. Okay, Galina, I can see you next.
Thank you. I also thought about these three questions. And first, it's pity that Nick is not with us now, but I would like to give some comments about EBRD practice. And so first of all, I think that ICMCI should, with their conversation with organizations like EBRD, UNIDA, World Bank, maybe UNDP and others, just mentioned that there are institutes in many countries, IMCs in many countries, which follow the same standards as ICMCI, and we have the common targets to promote our profession, and our CMC certification is recognized between our countries. As for example, EBRD in my country, in Kazakhstan, use little bit different practice. For example, saying about our standard, I saw 20,700. They fully use the same frame, but establish training to consultants without using us and without mention that this is ISO standard prepared by ICMCI. I don't think it's good for us, as when we promote our standard, they always say, don't say about your standard. We don't need this training at all. But as I know, their trainings fully, or maybe, I don't know, not 100%, but maybe 90% based on ISO standard approaches. So maybe it's only in my country, but maybe in other countries with developing economies, they use the same approach. And this is why we can't promote this standard in with such energy as we wish. As our financial possibilities, of course, different from EBRD support. Then about what the second I would like to say, the recent online possibilities which could promote our annual meeting and hubs meeting. This year I was at annual meeting in Yerevan online, and I was expecting many of us there, but we were just four people online. But the conference was amazing. The annual meeting, not conference, sorry. Annual meeting was amazing. A lot of useful information. And I could suggest ICMCI to continue this practice and promote. Even hubs also could be very useful, not to spend a lot of money to go physically to be at these meetings, but just join them online for some fair fee and to get a lot of useful information for IMC. And same with the conferences. For example, last week we had very interesting conference in Kazakhstan, and we invited Nick and Robert, and they both gave excellent presentations, information for our people. So I think that, and I just thought that maybe next year we can do the conference with simultaneous translation into English, as we invited just very interesting speakers to our conference, and I could expect other countries have same experience. And maybe we need to think about how to share this information between our global community using modern IT possibilities. The third one about young generation and CMC and new certifications and IMC's membership. In Kazakhstan, we also spend a lot of attention to young generation, and our consultants now are working as associated professions in 3 or 4 universities. But what is interesting with young generation? First of all, they are not interesting to be relate to any stable community. They just would like to be free of any obligations. So when we say become a member of IMC Kazakhstan Chamber, they said, oh no, it's not interesting for us and we don't want to pay any fee, but they would like to get access to the international trainings. Yeah, so I think IMC Academy will be a great project to all of us. And I think that IMCs, if IMC work with, for example, with us or other IMCs, we can translate these courses into local languages. And so the knowledge could be shared with more people, and establish some type of certification scheme similar to CMC, so they will be globally recognized. And in this also context, possibly in developing countries, we don't know about some new competencies which are just appeared in the global market. And we need access to the practice of other institutes who already think about some new competencies, new professions in consultancy, new areas of consultancy. And we will be happy to know about this and maybe communicate with other institutes to establish some new certification schemes. And accreditation. I think that we should solve this problem as soon as possible, as even we in Kazakhstan, we already 3 years complied to ISO 17024, but without fully accreditation status, our members don't, how to say, don't support our approach to spend money to be ISO 17024 certified or accredited. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Galina. That's really good things to think about. I think I will suggest to Nick that he does watch this recording to pick up these good comments, and we may have his attention at IQA next week. So if I summarize the what we're discussing now, and then I can present that to him if he's there. So thank you very much for that. Brendan, I'd like to come on to you now.
I'm sorry, may I add just some of the points that Galina brought up?
Yes, please.
I'm not going to take long. Galina, with regards to the EBRD, just for you to know that it was us who wrote the management consulting training, Introduction to Management Consulting Training. It was ICMCI people who did that. And it was actually Nick who provided them with the ISO 20700 material. And it is branded as ICMCI. And to top it, it is accredited trainers from ICMCI who are delivering. So it is an ICMCI training within EBRD, and that's what the agreement was all about. Now, the fact that they are providing this training in your country where there is an IMC, do remember it's different stakeholders that they deal with, and those should actually be directly connected to you in order to make sure that both entities are doing the, let's say, the exposure of what ICMCI, what the CMC, and what the ISO are all about. So collaboration is the answer here. With regards to annual meetings, thank you for that point. And yes, now it is part of our annual terms of reference for the RFP, for the request for proposal. And we're including the hybrid option as always. It is a benefit for people to attend. And yes, it was sad to only see 4 people this year, but actually the networking and the face-to-face was also amazing. So both options being on the table offered to all management consultants within our community is a perfect combination. Now, the new generation that you mentioned, we do have the communities of practice. We have the communities of the future leaders. So if you feel that any of your new or younger generation would be interested in joining that, please let me know and I will connect you with Gergana, because that is the way that we figured would actually involve the new generation, even if they're not members. So it helps them think, produce, and actually Gergana has it in mind to give them tasks. So maybe that's where they should be. With regards to the academy, we're working our best in order to make sure that the online payment is made to start placing agreements with the many IMCs who are interested in offering their trainings on the platform. So that is the next step, but we need to finish the online payment option first. With regards to the membership, there is a community of practice within the membership committee, and they have already conducted one meeting where the membership was the focus of that call, and it is a good learning tool for all IMCs. So please do keep your eye open for the next one. We're supposed to have it, if I'm not mistaken, in February, but and the subject would be the financial sustainability of an IMC, which is something that Brendan mentioned. So that would be a good setting for you to also join. And if you as an IMC have a point that you want to share with all the IMCs with regards to a strong practice or a best practice at your institute, please let me and Huzaifa know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rima. That's
great.
Yeah, thank you. Talking about collaboration, I mean, if there are other community of practice sessions within ICMCI, sorry to be a bit controversial, but it would be quite good if we could have representation at some of those, but I'll leave that there.
We'll talk as chairs of committees as well. I'll open that with the membership.
Thank you so much, Rima. I've been going on about it for a long time now, but that would be great. Thank you. Brendan, let's come to you now.
Thank you. So I think about this topic a lot across lots of professions, and I actually think we've got something in our management consulting profession that others don't. And it's one key, focused, consistent, global thing called CMC. That's where I think our entire focus should be. And I just think I could rattle off a whole lot of things that I would normally do and could do and think we should do perhaps, but I actually think we need to refocus everything around enhancing the competence of CMCs, demonstrating the competence of CMCs, holding CMCs accountable, applying disciplinary action to CMCs that don't stay within their lane, and then providing more holistic support to all the IMCs around the world to enable what I've just said, because there is so much, we're all trying to reinvent the wheel. We're all trying to go through the same pain and challenges. Our strength is in us coming together and having that collaboration. But that one unique thing that we have that is truly global, and that is unique compared to other professions, is CMC. Now, yes, I am a CMC, but I self-reflect and self-assess, and there is so much more competence I would like to have. But what I find is fundamental to any professional certification is that what comes with that is a professional ability to remain ethical in your practice, as has been mentioned, and to only practice within your area of competence. And that has got to be the hallmark of every CMC, but it then gives us opportunity to collaborate with the other CMCs who add their area of competence to help us more collectively meet the needs of a particular client or even employer. So I use a summary term for what management consulting is. I keep it simple: consulting with management towards business improvement. That's it. I do not try and overcomplicate it. And if we can become known through that CMC brand, as anyone that holds that designation is going to help an organization, profit, non-profit, whatever type of organization that is, to improve their organization, that's what we're going to hang our hat on. That should mean something to the marketplace. Now, if we get that, if we can support what that is better, and I know it's already there, everything else will line up, because people that have interest in a management consultant will want to attain to that. The client marketplace and employers will want someone who has that, because it means something. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to say, because to me it comes down to that.
Okay, thanks, Brendan. Again, we'll share all this back with Nick. I think he needs to see it, so thank you for that. Shin Yat, let's come to you next, please. There you go.
The first part while I was driving. What is the topic now? Sorry.
So we're looking at the business case. Would you like me to come back to you once you've had a chance to have a look at it?
Oh, I haven't seen it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
It's on screen, so I'll leave you with that and I'll come back to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Philip, let me come to you next. Philip Key.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I think we have heard quite a bit on the international front. There's ICMCI, what ICMCI is doing. I think, and just now my colleague PK have shared quite a lot. Let me talk about from the Singapore local scenes. In Singapore, we have, what happened was that Singapore government have, somehow did not recognize the qualification of CMC. And when they want to regulate the management consulting in Singapore, Singapore government introduced our Singapore standard, a local standard on management consulting qualification. And we got ourselves, IMC Singapore got ourselves accredited to 17024 to qualify our local consultant to meet the Singapore government local requirement in order for them to do consulting work for their client. And Singapore context, because government are very supportive of the SME and provided a lot of grants for the company to implement some productivity program, skill upgrading program, or whatever. So because of that, the local scheme, the local management consultant scheme has grown very well, which come to the total in Singapore, we have about 1,000 odd, more than 1,000 of local consultants qualified. And about a third of them actually come to IMC Singapore to get the qualification. Right? So that make what happened is that because of that, our CMC size not growing at all, because no local consultants are so keen on the CMC, except a few of them that went overseas to do consultancy. Then we encourage them to come to CMC. Yes, we increased by a few over the last few years, but not many. So actually, this gives us ICMCI as well as the local MC this challenge. Right. At the end of the day, if the consultants are not being recognized by the local government or some of the multinationals, then end up the qualification is not well received. So I think that maybe I'd like to bring this point up for ICMCI to consider how to actually get the recognition for the CMC. I mean, of course, this is a big subject, and I think there's a lot of discussion. I don't think it's an issue that can be solved quite fast. But I suppose these have to be in our head for the council as well as the local council as well as the ICMCI council to constantly look at it. Over us in Singapore, over the last few years, I think we have tried to associate with quite a number of local associations to actually promote our services. But at the end of the day, I'm saying likelihood most of the job end up the local consultant, local qualified consultant. So the number of CMC get a job still very limited. So I think that is one of the concerns we have. The other thing that we try to do in Singapore is actually we created our own, how we call it, the scheme on qualifying the local consultant and train them out. So we collected quite a lot of fee because of the training program. So I'd like to share this with the ICMCI to conduct, come up some relevant courses, training programs that are of interest to the local consultants and to upskill them. So that can actually create a lot of revenue. From my experience in Singapore, we see some years back, our IMC is quite weak in the financial situation. But these few years, we have grown quite well and because of this training program that we created. And I'm now in the process of creating some training programs that are related to the sustainability, because I head a team of consultants in Singapore to actually, we call a COPOC, Committee of Practice on Corporate Sustainability. So I'm in the process actually cooperating with Singapore Management University to actually run a program. And also at the same time, we're also developing some short courses to brief out our management consultant on sustainability topic. So to hopefully at the end of the day, maybe by next year, we can come up with a certification scheme for management consultants specializing in sustainability. And that is my ideas, and I think we are pushing forward. So maybe I can share this with the member here so they can see whether this can help other local institutions to actually. So that's what my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Again, a lot of it comes back to marketing. So we will forward your comments through. So thank you so much. I'm just looking, there's something in the chat. Let's see what that says. Okay.
Do you want me to read that out?
Yeah. Go on, Brendan. Thank you.
Who was just speaking? Sorry, was it Shinlat?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, thank you, Shinliat. You've just reminded me.
So Norris, sorry, I think it was. Yes. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, thank you. You've just reminded me. We've got our CMC brand, but we don't have a consistent digital badge for CMC yet. I just wanted to highlight IMC New Zealand has just created that. I've been at IMC Australia to do it for several years. IMC Australia hasn't done it yet, but there is now an IMC New Zealand digital badge for CMC, and we should make that consistent globally sooner rather than later. Otherwise, we'll have 50 member countries with different CMC digital badges.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Well, as part of marketing, again, it should be a global brand, shouldn't it? So yeah, that's definitely great. Thanks, Brendan. Okay, I'd like to come on to Ilya, who's one of our new assessors. So give us your thoughts, Ilya, if you can.
Okay, thank you. I would propose increasing the cooperations between the institutes of each countries. This approach would allow us learning from the successful programs, from the successful initiatives that were implemented by any institutions, and that maybe we can adopt and implement to our countries. Additionally, many members often ask, "What's in it for me?" referring to the value they receive for their annual subscriptions that they pay. Sometimes it seems that, let's say, BCC Kosovo, it's operating on itself without being part of the ICMCI, maybe having more regular meetings with the ICMCI and with the executives of each institutions from different countries would be an added value for us and to fostering collaborations and enhancing the benefits of everyone involved in our organization.
Okay, Rima, is that something that you might be able to comment on?
I'm sorry, but I didn't fully understand what Ilya was trying to say. Ilya, may you please repeat?
Yes, I was thinking to propose on, let's say, having the regular meetings between each institutions with the ICMCI maybe once per month. And in these regular meetings, we can share what we have implemented, what we have done, and to learn from the, let's say, successful programs implemented by any institute in the world. And maybe we in all countries can adopt and implement the same successful programs that was already implemented by any institution.
Okay, now what's going to happen, these are kind of two different things you're talking about. There's the meeting with the ICMCI board, and there's the meetings with other IMCs. Now,
yes.
Back in 2015 to 2018, we had the collaborative approach meetings with all IMCs, where the chair and the officials of the board would meet on a regular basis every 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, with the chairs and delegates of IMCs. That practice was replaced during COVID with the monthly update from the chair. Now, since everything's open and it's not about, online working all the time, we will resume those. And that's one of the things that Nick, I believe, announced at the annual meeting. It's going to be meetings with every IMC within his term, and I believe it's going to start next year during the first quarter, or maybe even after our strategy meeting at the board, in order to be sure to update the IMCs properly. Now, the other point is meetings between IMCs. That is something that is open for all of you, Ilya. We have the list of all the IMCs on the website. Each IMC can take the initiative to contact any other IMC and discuss with them any subject that they feel they should discuss. However, like I mentioned to Galina, we have the community of practice or the experience exchange within the membership committee. And each IMC who has a strong point in best practice or in addressing any of the points of management within the institute, whether be it finance, whether be it membership, they also have a platform through those in order to share with other IMCs. We record those meetings and they are on our YouTube channel. So they would be available to all IMCs as well. So with regards to the 2 points, both will be addressed this year, the first through the chair, the second through the membership committee. So we will keep you properly posted on both, okay?
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rima. Just a thought, perhaps we can be more, or I can be more proactive and invite others to these community of practice meetings as our speaker, if you like. So that's a thought I shall take forward. Okay, Namrod, let me come to you next, please.
Thank you, Sue. I've had a look at this, and I think the first thing is that we have got ICMCI, and also we have got the region where the IMCs reside, and we have got IMCs. And I think there's need for that communication and collaboration, along that line. So what I'm saying is, it would be very helpful to say an IMC will establish communication with the people or the stakeholders that are in their respective countries and be in a position to provide IMC with any leads that would maybe be more than just the country, maybe on a national regional basis or on a hub basis, and also expect ICMCI to do exactly the same. I think it will go a long way. Let's take Africa, for example. We've got IMC, and then we've got the Africa Hub, which is still, being, put in place. And then within the Africa Hub, then there's Africa Union, which is made up of 54 countries. And then we've got the individual countries. So what I'm saying is that the IMC will need to mobilize the stakeholders in that particular country. For example, we're looking at the government departments that are there, professional bodies that are there, NGOs like the UN, business associations, and universities, for example, and pick up some of that information that they think will be relevant to ICMCI. I was very pleased with what Nick did in terms of giving us the outline in terms of the developments that are going to be done. And also this question, I think, is very relevant that he would establish to say, how do we communicate? So I would say, I think communication is going to be very important from IMCI, communicating with the hub or the IMC, and the IMC also vice versa, to provide IMC with that intelligence to say, okay, we've done this, we've discussed maybe with regional UN coordination, and this is what has come through out of this. And I think if we do that on a continuous basis, I think we'll be in a position to be able to cement that relationship, and as a result, establishing IMC as the global body that stands in for IMCs. And I like what Brandon mentioned, the issue of, let's not forget about the CMC. And the CMC should be able to sell us for that. So that should be the main thing that we should be looking at, to say our brand qualification CMC, sell that brand within the country, within the region, and feed information or provide information to ICMCI in terms of some of those areas where there can be collaboration. So in a way, I would say, so who should be contacted? We are talking about the CMC, sorry, the IMC in the countries, in various countries, or in the hub, who should be imparting that information to ICMC and also vice versa. IMC, if they've got discussion with all these other global bodies, they also need to communicate with the countries that are in there. A very good example, UNIDO. I think it will be very important that UNIDO should also have involved people that are in there to say, not to say being involved, but at least being said, this is where we are, so that at least maybe we can duplicate that. Which I think is a very good initiative that has come through. How can this be done? I think there's nothing that I think we're talking about collaborations. Communication is also very important to IMC and also vice versa, so that at least we are all on the same page. Lucky enough, given that, I think because of previous discussions, we have started doing this again as a result of the discussions that we had at the last annual meeting to value that relationship. So for Africa, we've already started doing that. And we've already mentioned with the Africa Union to say, yes, there's IAMC. So a time is going to come where the three parties are going to be talking together. And I think that will go a long way in terms of making sure that we have got the CMC brand known throughout the countries, and also to know that the custodian of the CMC brand is ICMCI, and also with the professional bodies exactly the same. So I think it will go a long way, and I'm very pleased that I think this has come up. How are we going to do this? I think also there's an issue of lobbying and advocacy to bring awareness, and also to be able to manage things from, from country to country but that would need to be done by the IMC. So lobbying and advocacy, I think, are going to be key, complemented by communication in the collaborations. And I think if we do that, I think it will go a long way in terms of establishing the CMC brand as the profession for management consultants globally, and the associations that, the IMCs will be able to put this across, I think, to go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Namrud. I think the key messages I'm picking up from all of you is it's all around collaboration, communication, and marketing, basically. So there's some great messages there. Thank you. I think Shinlat has left us. If he's there, still there. He just messaged. Okay. So let me come to Fahrettin then, please, from Turkey. If you could give us your feedback.
Well, I would like to say that to increase the recommendation of ICMCI, ICMCI could help the institutes, global institutes, by videos which could be translated to prospect clients of their countries. And the institute's value of this CMC responsibility could make it more powerful in relations with the prospect clients. We should show the responsibility to cover the concerns of the prospects. And it's very important because when they don't know what is ICMC, what is CMC, they don't have, if they don't have any responsibility coverage, they contract with other management consultants who does not have any responsibility, and which they are not very able to make the project, and they have problems with the consultancy. So maybe ICMCI and the IMC could help the IMCs regarding this institute responsibility and value of CMCs, and it could be translated in any in their country with their own languages. That's what I offer to you.
Thank you so much. I think I've covered everybody, but Rima, is there anything you want to add? It's been really helpful to get your feedback during this session.
I want to first of all thank everyone. I brought notes, and I know that Nick would also listen to this and read the notes that were included. I just want to say that I want to kind of stress the fact that ICMCI is the IMCs. We are your council. It's made up of your delegates. It's made up of your IMCs. So whatever initiative is taken at the national level, it's something that ICMCI should spread at the international level, but also every practice that is being implemented by ICMCI at an international level should also be mirrored at a national level. So when ICMCI starts building relationships with international organizations, then that is what national IMCs should be doing at the national level. Because, for example, even if we talk to UNIDO, it doesn't mean that that project would be summarized to all the UNIDO offices around the world. But each national institute going to that UNIDO office and saying, by the way, our council is already working with your UNIDO office in Vienna, and they are implementing a project in Ghana, then that is something that would actually support you, because you would be able to open windows, open doors with the national offices of the many international community organizations. So mirror us and we will mirror you, but it cannot be only one hand clapping. We need the whole lot saying the same thing, doing the same thing in order for us to reach a proper goal. And that is to have the ICMCI's CMC recognized at an international level. It cannot be just us. Go ahead, Brendan.
No, I just wanted to support everything you just said, Rima. You summarized it very well, and you just made me think, if we as a community of individuals and IMCs across the globe were one of the big management consulting firms, how would we have, what infrastructure would we develop to be able to better communicate and share information with one another? I think that is currently our big barrier. We're at the moment, we're 50 different entities all trying to create the same sorts of communication processes, et cetera, and that's where all our effort's going. That's where all our time and attention is, and it's expensive. And I wonder, we might just have to get our heads together and go, you know what? We need one system that helps. I mean, maybe that's Microsoft 365, but I'm just saying we need a platform that we can all be in the one system and not have to try and reinvent the wheel 50 times around the world. Anyway.
So I hear you. And there are two things I want to add. Sorry, Sue.
Oh, carry on.
Number one, the presentation of IMC Turkey that we mentioned, Galina mentioned, and Fakhruddin told us about. Please do take a look at that when we send it out. That is in itself a best practice. And it meets the mid-level certificate scheme that ICMCI is putting together. So that will give you a closer look into how it could be done nationally. So that is a learning tool by itself. The other thing I wanted to say is that we are a community. We do work well together. And there is no need to reinvent the wheel at the national level. Again, there are best practices that we just need to implement. They are there. And I wonder how many of you actually follow our YouTube channel. Lots of videos are there. I wonder how many of you actually follow us on the different platforms, because that's how we spread the word of who we are and what we are. We're trying to align our voice. And like you said, Brendan, instead of reinventing the wheel, we should be aligned. We're trying to align our voice. Please do hear us in order for you to actually be able to use that voice at a national level.
Okay, Rima, my comments is that though you talk about the best practice and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, not how do we know that all those institutes actually adopting the best practice and actually use them? This is
through
something.
the experience exchange, because when they come out and actually talk about the best practice that had impact and brought results, then I don't think they're making it up. The results are there. When IMC Russia came out and talked about how they increased the number of members, we could see it in the membership survey. So results are there, impact is there, and maybe it doesn't work for all cultures. Maybe what is being done in IMC Jordan doesn't work as an initiative in IMC Australia. However, it is food for thought.
Okay.
Okay. Things are measured. We can tell if that is the case or not, especially with the assessments by you guys.
Thanks, Rima. And also for next year, we are looking at automation and tools, appreciating we need one platform for all of us. So bear with us on that one. It's in its infancy at the moment, but it's definitely something that we're looking at. So thank you. Okay, I think there's one more comment in chat. It's Brendan. Thank you so much, Brendan. That's really useful for YouTube.
I actually forget that we got a YouTube.
Yeah,
I've seen it before, but I forget. There's too many things to remember.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thanks, Rima.
It's a good reminder. Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for all your input on that. It's really helpful, and I think it's promoted some good discussion. So thank you. I'd like to move on then to I'm going to ask Galina to have a look at this one. So Galina and Alice have been looking at some positive and challenging experiences from our lead assessor. So I'll hand over to Galina and PK. If you want to add anything afterwards, then please feel free, or any of you for that matter. So Galina, over to you.
Thank you, Sue. And thank you to Alice. She analyzed the reports and put some comments relating positive and challenging issues lead assessors and assessors met during the assessment, the audit. We put this into one slide, and just as positive and challenging aspects are the same as the two wings. So the same aspect in some IMCs could be assessed as positive, and in some other assessments, assessors mention them as a challenging aspects. First of all, saying about the recent experience, all assessors normally mention the respectful interactions with IMCs. Yes, we can say that IMCs quite open and ready to work with the assessors team during the assessment. And the complete package aligned to CMC 001 manual is very helpful now, and is a transparency basis to do the assessment and establish good communication with IMCs from one side. But at the same time, from some assessors, we could hear that, first of all, in general, the political and other upheavals during last years delaying IMC's assessment. And those assessors who work for a number of years, we could see the difference which, for example, COVID-19 brought to our assessment schedule. And saying about the manual, what we see, that we see the lack of appreciation of the importance of standards. And not all IMCs know this standard well. And during the assessment, we spent time just not to train them, but to explain that this standard consists of different points and have some obligatory requirements which IMC should follow. If when some IMCs are eager to comply and going, but not maybe almost all IMCs eager to comply and going out of their way to meet all the requirements, and even immediately. But the submission of the documents, quite often we can hear from assessors that information provided not in timely fashion. This is definitely, we already work on this, and the schedule improved very, very good now. Now we are almost in time with the assessments, but it takes an efforts from lead assessor to motivate IMC to provide documents and information in according to the agreed schedule. IMCs, during the assessment, we often meet their interest to best practices, and they ask to share the best practice from other IMCs to improve their own IMCs. And this good financial and governance controls also are mentioned in our reports, but it's quite often what we could say the lack of rigor in process, particularly around developing appeals, complaints, and disciplinary committees. Yes, and we should spend attention to this, as well as to make an accent to during the assessment to IMCs about this requirement. Saying about going back to the first point, political and other upheavals delaying IMC assessment, I could say that the last years demonstrates that right now many IMCs are in the process of handover responsibilities from one governing group to another. And if in some cases we see the successful process with planning and ensure clean handover and proper keeping all documents, especially to those IMC who started to use internet facilities like G Drive or some other cloud facilities to keep their documents, they demonstrate this process quite clean. But at the same time, we met the examples with lack of continuity and integrity when handling over functioning to a new team is not good, and the new team coming to this responsibility to reply to assessors, not how to say, not don't know enough about the previous history of the whole process and how to find documents, and that they already have some core elements of certification scheme. In this case, we ask them to, and we ask them to communicate with the previous team and groups and ask them to support during the assessment. Yes, we met this few times. And what is also positive to all IMCs that always we see the willingness to develop their IMCs and to develop a pipeline to find new CMCs and expand their institutes. That's all what we just put onto this slide, and you are welcome with your feedback, with your experience. Maybe we missed something important, just let know. And think about how we can address these challenges. And maybe we need more, we already mentioned this, more communication, but again, not just between IMCs, but with other committees on the board as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Galina. PK, did you want to add anything?
Sure. So I like to add on the Galina that the one of the point, the succession planning to ensure clean handover from one governing group to another group. Okay. Yeah, it is a challenges. And then as the assessor, I constantly also face many challenges to deal with IMC, especially the delay in documentation, submissions, timing of assessment, etc. But what I want to really commend or encourage our assessors are, based on my experience as assessor, we have a very good tool, I think developed by Sue or whoever is, okay. That is our assessment plan, IQA assessment plan. That is an excellent tool, okay, because once we start secure the first meeting with the IMC, okay, that's where the tool come in, okay, because this assessment plan help us to open up the conversation and the build up relationship with the IMC president and the chair of the certification board. And because during the meeting, we talk about all the required documents we want for the assessment. So especially, the Institute Basic Facts and Statement of Equivalence, plus all the supporting documents. And then we want them to put into the G drive for us to assess. So by having all those documents put in the G drive and having those the URL, and they actually, put them into the statement of equivalence, so that, they go through the statement of equivalence, and, point by point there, and then they put the respective URL there, and then we can see that the whole process of the, the assessment. So and then those things are all in the G drive for us to see also. And as long as we emphasize to them that, okay, they continue update the documents with the proper document updating procedures within the IMC, I think when we pass from one governing body to another governing body, and when we let them see all the old documents or they have them, I think that solves a lot of the problems. I think one of the key things for us is to really, really emphasize on that, to encourage all the documents in the G drive during the assessment. So that really clean them up, okay? And then they got the good documents, and then they can update it from time to time. When the our ICMCI, have a new document or so on, they just update them. That's my observation, okay? Once we engage them that way, and then make our assessment very easy, and we get everything we want.
Thanks, PK. Certainly the plan is something that we'll look at for next year to see how we can better use that and automate it if we can. And also we want to give responsibility to one person to spend more time tracking assessments because it's quite a lot of work to do that. So we need someone dedicated to help us to do that. Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments that anyone would like to make? Or if you think of anything afterwards, then please feel free to share.
One comment more, if you give me the speech. One comment.
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Most newcomers in the need mentoring and acceptance period, first assessment and periods. At the first assessment periods, they need mentoring. And at these periods, it takes more time for assessors and to do it at the digital platform. And you cannot see everything reality on the digital platform. In the past years, we had always had 2 to 3 days visit to the institute and work with them on the documents, see the compliances of their documents. So this makes it easy, more effective to quality the institute management and organization capabilities and eagerness of the institute when you do the assessment face-to-face.
So we have returned to doing face-to-face assessments, some taking place this year and a few more next year. So obviously over the previous years we've had to revert to Zoom, but the face-to-face will resume for some of those IMCs which are due for their triennial. So that will happen. And also we do spend a lot more time now at the beginning with an overview to the IMC, so they know what the process is, they know what they have to deliver. So I think we have simplified things quite a bit from there. But yeah, so that's definitely something I agree, which is better face-to-face, but there will be some of those next year.
It is necessary, especially for the first assessments of the newcomers.
So they're not all face-to-face. It depends where they are in the life cycle of their assessments. But Christian will be working on assigning assessors. So you'll be able to see that who's going to be doing the face-to-face. But we do as much as we can with those online with the first interviews. Rima, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to add that for newcomers, and by that I believe you mean the provisional members. Provisional members, it's always face-to-face. So
Okay.
the first time they become a member of ICMCI, that is according to an assessment that was done in-house, face-to-face with the new institute. It only didn't happen once, and that was during COVID, and it was done virtual. But other than that, it is face-to-face.
Okay, thanks, Rima. Okay, anything else from you?
Yeah,
guys?
yes, Sue,
Yep.
I've got my hand up. Look, I've had some feedback in the assessments we're undertaking, and I've looked at it myself, and I tend to agree. It's quite a challenge for an IMC to determine from the documents they've got to complete what is mandatory and what is optional. So I get back to the earlier comments that were made by Galina in terms of the feedback that are on screen at the moment. It is my view that particularly as we're heading towards IAF membership, etc., we are doing conformity assessments after all. So what the conformance requirements are has got to be incredibly clear. Anything beyond that is nice, but for some IMCs that have got their back up against the wall in terms of volunteers that, because they are unpaid office bearers that are doing this, and they just don't have time to do anything more than the minimum. Yeah, so that's the feedback, that to make what is mandatory more clear, and to be clearer about what actually we're after, because we do ask some quite open-ended questions in the checklists.
I agree, because if you look at CMC 001, nearly everything is marked as mandatory, and we have to take into consideration the size of the IMC and their capability. So I think there is a statement in the slides which leaves a lot to the discretion of the assessor to make a judgment. CMC 001 is one of the key documents because it's still called the QAC reference guide. It is on the list to have a look at, to update, and is definitely something that mandatory that we need to look at, because in theory it would be great, but in practice it's not really appropriate for some of the IMCs, and we want to encourage them not to scare them off. So yeah, I hear what you say with that. So yeah,
thank you. And maybe and I know you've mentioned this in our discussions within this group as feedback to I forget the SDAC group that produces the standards. Maybe those standards need to have some scalability requirements built in that makes it clearer for them and for us.
Yeah, this is PDSC, and it's another group that I would like to collaborate with. So yeah, they're definitely on my list, because whatever they decide impacts us. We're at the sharp end. We have to carry out those standards, and our feedback to them should be important because we deal directly with the IMC. So it's on my list.
No, okay. Thanks so much, Sue.
Thank you, everyone. All right, I'll move on to my last slide. Aware of time passing on. So this is our sort of future strategy, if you like, for IQA. It's really quite a long to-do list. One of the things, we've had discussions with all of our IQM members recently, and looking at how we can assign specific roles and responsibilities, and also any of others that we may call on to be part of a task force for specific things that we need to carry on. I'm hoping that work will be completed by the end of the year. It's with Christian, really, but I will be able to share further information on that in our training refresher. I haven't got much more to share on ISO 17011. We're still waiting for our internal audit, and there are lots of challenges around the external audit as well, but it's work in progress. We continue to abide by 17011. I won't go through that. We've been through it many times now. Also looking at implementation of risk management. PK's done a lot of work on that, so we need to actually get going with that. Again, I'd like to include that with our training in February. The evaluation process, how we manage that. It's again, bearing in mind, using the word volunteer, but just bearing in mind how we deal with that. It might be more focused around development needs or any extra training people need, but it is something that we need to formalize. Progress tracking I've touched on in terms of assigning someone to be responsible for that, maybe some automation or tool, or however we approach that. Our continuous process improvement, capture and share best practice. So these are all things we need to implement, and hopefully I'll have more actual tasks on how we can continue to do that with our training. We talked a lot earlier about the SDGs, so how we work on those directly with the IMCs. Automation and tools, you're quite right, Brendan, we need some commonality around that. Our regular document reviews and document management. We're also looking at the IQA terms of reference. Nick touched on the fact that further talks are going on around IQA independence, but that may need to be reflecting then in the terms of reference. The QAC reference guide, CMC 001, I've just talked about that. That definitely needs updating. Also, I've put this in as well, but a further understanding, because there are currently 3 levels in the competence framework. That's foundation, CMC, and profession leader. So some IMCs may use that profession leader. I know in the UK we have a chartered designation, but CMC is the internationally recognized accreditation. So, but it's just understanding of that from PDSC, and if they're going to implement more around the profession leader in the future. Approach for ISO 17024, we've talked roughly about whether we train up our own assessors for 17024, so we don't have to engage with external resources to do that. And also you need to understand a bit more about that from Nick. How's that's being implemented? Will we be trained? What will be the approach? So there's some information around that we need to look at. And also capturing from reports. We've had a little bit of that with the slide from Galina, but that's just capturing information from reports, best practice, feedback for IQA. There's a field in there for feedback for ICMCI as well. So as you can see, we've got a lot to do, yeah, that will keep us busy, I think, for the next few months. Any questions on that at all? I appreciate I've whizzed through it quite quickly, but we will share the slides, and please feel free to come back to me with anything. So, okay.
I want to participate this video with us.
Yes, yeah, the video of this session will be provided. So yeah, that will be sent out within the next few days, whenever Kuzema and Rima have time to do that. We have a second session on Thursday to repeat with the other side of the world. So there will be two recordings to look at, but yes, that will be available.
Thank you.
Okay, before we finish then, any questions or any feedback at all? Nope. Okay, well, I'll give you back 10 minutes of your day, and thank you so much for participation today. It's been really interesting from my perspective, and we've been able to chat a lot, so it's all good. So thank you very much to everyone, and goodbye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.